the National PTA hosted a back-to-class virtual town hall with First Lady and former high school English teacher, Dr. Jill Biden. Do you know she is still teaching community college by Zoom from the White House? That's pretty cool, if you ask me. Other folks in attendance at the town hall were U.S. Secretary of Education, Dr. Miguel Cardona, the director of the CDC, the president of the American Academy of Pediatrics. You know, all the people in positions that crony capitalism and corporate lobbying over the past half century have rightfully led the American people to have diminished trust in. And now here we are with half the country feeling more comfortable trusting Dr. QAnon than Dr. Fauci. Can we please just get the profit motive out of healthcare now? Does anyone see how this just all relates back to our health system being profit driven? I think you do, because you're watchers of act.tv, and that's what we talk about. Anyway, school board meetings across the country have devolved into all manner of rageful lunacy, secondary to us having a for-profit healthcare system that you can't trust. Kind of, but you can, and now you have to. It's very confusing. Anyway, one of our producers, Matt, who lives in Florida, sent his kid to public school in Mask Bannerville, also known as Jacksonville. And within 2 weeks, one by one, his whole family got the Rona. Governor DeSantis of Florida eliminated the option for at-home virtual learning and banned mask mandates in crowded schools while the pandemic is surging in his state. Thankfully, Matt and his family lived, and Matt was able to make this short presentation of exactly WTF is going on at these school board meetings. Take a watch.
I got a message for you. We are coming for the school boards.
We do not need masks for our kids. It's child abuse.
This is not a pandemic. This is a plandemic.
Science is not fact.
Criminals! Every single one of you are criminals!
I've found masks that the kids had. The kids had a mask that looked like Britney Spears' underwear. The skid marks in it.
I want to talk about the real pandemic, child sex trafficking. By putting masks on these kids' face, you can't identify any of them. So by the 9 of you already voting on this, tells me you guys support sex trafficking.
Go home tonight and take one of these spoons and put it on your vaccination spot. Guess what? It's going to stick to you. Is this human? No. Guess what else? You take a black light flashlight and shine it on your veins, and you're now going to glow in the black light, because guess what? You're no longer human. You're 2.0s, and we are afraid of you.
These are demonic entities in all the school boards of all the United States of America, and all of us Christians will be sticking together to take them all out.
There is zero evidence that COVID-19 exists in the world. PCR tests are recalled. This is a plandemic. Fake virus, bioweapon jab. We know you're coming for the children. We will not comply. We will answer to God. Nothing can stop what is coming. You vote yes, you will all be tried for crimes against humanity.
You're about to open a pit of hell. You do not get a vaccine passport put on us. Have you been a good little Nazi? Hail Fauci! Hail Fauci! Hail Fauci! Hail Fauci! There's been a lot of talk about the Nuremberg Code. Well, I brought you a copy.
Because
What are you going to do about
it? They don't like the crowd out here. How do you think they'll like the crowd in front of their house? Which is where this goes next.
We know who you are. We know who you are. You can leave freely, but we will find you, and we know who you are. Be allowed in public again.
That right now we're being peaceful, and you better be happy that we're good citizens, that we're peaceful citizens. But it's not going to be peaceful much longer, because this is a warning for what's coming. It's not going to be peaceful much longer. It's not going to be rah-rah. It's not going to be speeches. It's not going to be gathered outside saying a Pledge of Allegiance. It's not going to be waving flags. It's going to be real. I've been in combat, and I never want to go back again. But I'm telling you what, I will to save this country. If it has to be against our own citizens, it will happen.
And there's hell coming. There's hell coming, and I'm not doing it to threaten anybody. But there's a lot of good guys out there ready to do bad things soon. Do what's right. There's a lot of bad things coming.
I plan on going in these school boards. Ian and other strong men. Men, where are you? Men, wake up, smell the coffee, let's go. Make men great again, right? Make men men again. Let's go. Men, I need you in the coming weeks, because when we walk into those school boards, we're going to have everything we need to do to go in there with those 9 school boards that voted to put these masks back on the children with no scientific. It's done giving them the research and the data. Do you understand that? Forget going into these school boards and bringing data. You go into school boards to remove them. That's what you do. They don't follow the law. They don't follow the law. You go in and you remove them. I'm going in with 20 strong men. I'm going to speak in front of the school board, and I'm going to give them an option. They can leave or they can be removed. And then after that, we're going to replace them with nine parents, and we're going to vote down the mask mandates that evening. That evening. This is how you get stuff done.
So the whole entire next week, we find out who voted yes, and you show up at their house. We need to intimidate these people. Yes, I'm saying that. You need to intimidate these people. Civil war. Yeah. Civil war. That's what's going to happen. In a month, in 2 months, by December, civil war's coming, people. Get your guns. Get your guns. Get your food. Get a plan together. It's done.
You saw it here. That there's a lot to say, and there's a lot to say about that. Civil war? Okay, well, maybe the South is going to lose again. We'll see. This is just, I can't even, there's every one of those guys and women were just kind of out of their minds. I mean, if they think that the vaccine is a bioweapon, and then they think that the disease isn't a thing, but then they think the disease is a bioweapon. I don't know. Let's contrast what they said with what happened at the National PTA event. First off, according to a study done by the organizers, the vaccinated parents are far more worried about sending their kids to school than unvaccinated parents, which again, did they have to do a study to confirm this? I mean, it's pretty obvious. I don't know. Only 26% of parents at all feel comfortable for in-person schooling. Dr. Rachel Walensky, director of the CDC, says this.
But what we do know is when we implement the guidance for safe schools, for when we implement the masking, the ventilation strategies, the cohorting and the screening strategies, that we can have our kids be safe in school. And in fact, we have found that for the most part, cases are coming in from the community, and there's more disease happening outside of school than there is happening within the school. So schools tend to be safer places.
Is that still the case even with the Delta variant? Because I think a lot of parents worry that Delta is worse somehow.
We do know Delta to be more transmissible, and we have now data coming in related to the Delta variant. Of course, we don't have a lot of time in schools with the Delta variant, but what we do know, and we're hearing a lot about cases now, is that we're seeing outbreaks in places where these mitigation strategies are not occurring.
So just basically the mitigation strategies of masks and ventilation. I mean, are they out there protesting against ventilation as well? Are working? The big terror for most parents that I know, in addition to contracting a debilitating and often deadly disease, is having their kids come back from school in the middle of the year and then having to educate them from home while still doing a job. This is what the Secretary of Education said we have to do to make sure that doesn't happen.
You know, it all depends on how well we can come together to do what Dr. Biden said. Come together to make sure we're using those mitigation strategies to make sure our schools are safe, but also what Dr. Walensky said, make sure that our community spread is low.
Oh, that's not good. That is not good, especially for Florida and Texas. If that's the answer here, we are screwed. Okay. Well, there's obviously more to the story here, but Dr. Jill Biden has really put her joyful, calming finger on exactly what parents are going through. And she has promised with the administration to make it all okay so that we can all get back to working for, some giant multinational corporation that in one way or another is probably poisoning our kids.
The new school year always brings a mix of emotions all at once. We feel the anticipation of new classmates and teachers, the relief of not having to hear, "I'm bored," again and again. the anxiety of juggling your family's complicated schedule. And that was before the uncertainties of COVID. Now, a simple cough can start your heart racing. And you know that at any moment, a quarantine could send your kids home and upend your life once again. Parents, this is hard, but you're doing your best. And I want you to know you're not alone. As a teacher for more than 30 years who continues to teach, and as a mom, I've seen that classrooms are so much more than places where our children learn math and reading. We've all seen it when our kids make friends that last for years, when they learn to settle disagreements or find the confidence to try out for sports teams. Parents rely on schools too, heading to our own jobs, knowing that our kids are in an environment we trust. And that's why I'm grateful for the volunteers like you who do so much to support our students, and for organizations like the PTA that are working hand in hand with the CDC and the Department of Education to keep all of our schools safe. My husband, Joe, promised families that he would bring people back together to get kids back to class. And that's what we're doing now. This administration will always be a partner to you. We can't know what our future holds, but we know what we owe our children. We owe them a promise to do all we can to keep their schools open and as safe as possible. We owe them a commitment to follow the science. And we owe them unity so we can fight the virus, not each other. Together, we are committed to working as hard for your children as you do. Thank you.
Oh, thanks, Jill. She seems so lovely. I encourage everyone to watch the whole stream. It was very informative. It went into vaccines and the importance of the social aspects of school for children's mental health. It shows actually that the Biden administration is, doing something to address the pandemic, as opposed to the Trump administration, whose plan was COVID? What COVID? We're only going to care about COVID after Joe Biden creams me in a debate and I have to change the narrative from, hey, maybe we all like Joe now, to, oh, President Trump might be dying. It worked. I like the Biden administration's approach better. For more information, you can go to PTA Back to School, hashtag Back to School, number 2, regular spelled out 2, ED News, School Safety, any of those hashtags. And that will lead you to be able to find the whole stream. You're watching Act TV. Coming up next, investigative reporter Greg Palast is going to talk with us first about the GOP's monkey business in voter disenfranchising in Georgia and across the states. And then we're going to talk about the Steve Donziger case, where Chevron is basically trying to try him on their own. It's a crazy thing. Stick with us. More to come.